We spend months mapping out football matches with statistics and historical probabilities. But the moment the ball strikes the grass, the physical reality of the pitch takes over. Statistics don't account for the bounce of a ball on wet turf or the sudden slip of a defender's boot. The World Cup turns simple actions into monumental tasks. Executing a basic pass in a training session is one thing. Doing it in this stadium, with the eyes of millions watching, creates a psychological weight that can make a seasoned professional's legs feel heavy. This tension defines the 2026 matchup between Sweden and Tunisia. Sweden enters as a European powerhouse, built on a foundation of structural organization, while Tunisia arrives as a challenger with a generational point to prove. Tournament history is built on these moments. When a favorite expects a routine win and encounters a wall of organized defiance, the gap between what should happen and what is actually happening creates the perfect environment for a surprise. Sweden's identity is visible in the way they stand together here. They are a team of collective discipline. They don't rely on individual brilliance to win. They rely on a rigid system that is notoriously difficult to break down. Tunisia has earned their place as one of Africa's most consistent competitors. They have global respect, but they are rarely considered a threat to the world's elite. Look at the players' expressions. There is a quiet readiness here to move past being consistent and become dangerous. As the scale tips toward the giants, it reflects how the football world is usually viewed. A handful of historic winners take up almost all the space, leaving nations like Tunisia to fight for any shred of global recognition. But Tunisia isn't arriving in 2026 just to participate. Their ambition has shifted toward actively challenging that scale, aiming to prove that the gap between the traditional elite and the rest of the world is narrower than the experts believe. Sweden's tactical approach is designed for survival. They absorb pressure by staying compact, trusting that if they minimize their own mistakes, their opponent will eventually lose patience and create an opening for them. Tunisia counters this with a focus on high-energy transition. They rely on quick bursts of speed and aggressive pressing, trying to force the Swedish defenders into the kind of rapid, chaotic decision-making they usually avoid. Consider the physical toll of a match like this. A player fighting to change their nation's history finds a level of endurance and sprint speed that isn't required in a standard league match. Every tackle and every recovery run is pushed to the absolute limit. This level of exertion allows a team to close the perceived talent gap over 90 minutes. Technical superiority matters less when your opponent is winning every second ball and covering more ground. The match becomes a collision of two different forces: Sweden's calm, systematic efficiency against Tunisia's relentless, high-speed pressure. In tournament football, physical skill is only half the battle. If a team's internal belief begins to fracture, their technical execution usually follows. Sweden carries the burden of expectation. They are supposed to win. Tunisia carries the freedom of the underdog. If they lose, it's expected. But if they stay in the game, their confidence grows with every passing minute. Time is the underdog's greatest ally. As the clock ticks toward the final whistle with the score still level, the pressure on the favorites increases. They begin to feel the weight of a potential failure. This is the moment where the favorite often starts forcing the play. They take risks they wouldn't normally take, leaving gaps in their defense and hesitating on the ball, creating the exact opportunity the challenger has been waiting for. When a rigid system like Sweden's starts to show these cracks, the match moves away from tactical plans and into a territory where anything can happen. The final minutes are a test of pure will. Every challenge is more aggressive, and every sprint is a desperate attempt to find the one opening that changes everything. The scale of this stadium amplifies that desperation. The noise of thousands of people creates an atmosphere where clear communication is impossible, and players have to rely entirely on their instincts. For the supporters, these seconds are a mix of terror and hope. They are watching their team stand on the edge of a result that would be talked about for decades. In these closing moments, coaching and strategy are replaced by a singular focus: the fear of making the mistake that results in a historic loss, or the desire to be the one who scores the goal that makes history. When the whistle finally blows, the result is permanent. One nation secures a moment of immortality, while the other is left to wonder where their preparation failed. For Tunisia, a win would go beyond the 3 points in the standings. It would be a definitive statement that they belong among the world best, rewriting the narrative of what an African team can achieve against a top European opponent. This is the core appeal of the World Cup, the belief that on any given day, a group of players can overcome the odds through sheer effort and courage. The camera moves toward the ball. As kickoff approaches, the football world is waiting to see if Sweden's discipline will hold, or if Tunisia will deliver. The first major shock of the 2026 World Cup. The answer is only 90 minutes away.